This is a true story. A failing comedian meets a woman in a bar. He's nice to her, so she continues to visit, but the mask slips when she shows her anger, and he finds out she is a convicted stalker. This is a true story. The stalking intensifies as he receives endless amounts of emails. Her advances become more frequent and more sexual when an unwanted email is sent back asking for anal, leading to a sexual assault. This is a true story. The stalker finds a way into the home of her victim. He uses police as a threat to rid of her, but this only amplifies the situation. The stalker becomes viciously angry while at a comedy show that ends with her assaulting the partner of the victim. This is a true story. We flash back to an earlier time in the comedian's life when he meets a man who promises to give him what he wants. They take drugs for weeks on end while the man takes advantage of him, eventually resulting in a violent rape. This is a true story.
It's hard to escape those words, even though they only appear once during the whole series. It's rare that a show is so upfront with something like this, as they usually say based on a true story. This may feel like a meaningless distinction, but it actually carries a lot of weight, since based on implies that it's dramatised. This is a true story implies this is exactly how it happened. We don't need to dramatise it because this is already as dramatic as it needs to be. Did you know that films have to use fake phone numbers like the one I just used? In England, if a mobile phone number starts with 077000900, it just won't ring. That's because dumb people will call these numbers and see if they can talk to their favourite fictional characters. Who are you going to call? Not the Ghostbusters, that's for sure, because that call isn't going anywhere. You obviously can't put someone's real number on screen because even if 0.1% of people call, a show as big as Baby Reindeer would create 22,000 calls. Hello?
I'm going to fucking kill you, you fucking cunt. I can't believe you did those things, you fucker.
I think you've got the wrong number.
Oh, is this not the number ending in 656?
No, it's not. I'm 657. And you won't be able to kill me anyway, bitch. I know karate. I'll kick the shit out of you, you fucking pussy.
The internet is incredibly quick to jump to death threats. If the internet isn't threatening to kill mentally ill stalkers, then they're threatening to kill bake-off contestants because they got into the final instead of someone else that they liked. But this is something you need to factor in, like the phone numbers thing. You need to account for nutters. If you're going to be showing real people doing bad things, then you need to do a good job at covering up their identity, which Baby Reindeer and Netflix didn't do very well. Internet sleuths left no stone unturned, by which I mean they did a bit of Googling and found the stalker almost immediately, because they have about 3.5 hours of true story to help them out. But here's where the ethical dilemma comes in. Why does it matter if the internet has found her identity? If this is all true and she is a criminal, then why does it matter if she gets a few death threats? Threatening to kill someone is nowhere near as bad as the crimes perpetrated. So what's the big deal? He said sarcastically, setting up the next segment. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to leave dozens of death threats since I don't really have much going on at the moment.
My phone number very recently got leaked, and I've had hundreds of death threats from people who are insane enough to send death threats to someone they don't know, nor have they bothered to do any research on. I'm of course alluding to the rapist in episode 4 of Baby Reindeer, who the internet sleuths were pretty sure they had solved their identity. Well, they were fucking wrong, and now an innocent man is accused of being a rapist. The sleuths have created a criminal in the minds of hundreds or thousands of people, which isn't something that can be fixed very easily. Even though the truth came out to clear this person's name, there's still going to be a large majority that didn't get this update, meaning that person is still a rapist in their minds. I didn't do it!
Let's think about this being a true story. What makes something true as opposed to a lie, or at best a slight bending of the truth? Let's pretend I have threatened to kill you, but in a slightly sarcastic tone, with the intent of it not being taken seriously, like this. I am going to kill you. Now in the retelling of the story, we portray it like this. I am going to kill you. It's the same story, but with the tiniest of alterations, it completely changes the vibe, so can it be considered true? Have you ever heard someone complaining about road rage directed at them? It's always framed as out of nowhere. They didn't deserve to have someone shouting at them, flipping them off. Then you get in the car and immediately they cut up a lorry so they can brake check them. So you grab hold of that handle that's only there to calm people down as they approach their inevitable death. People like that are awful drivers, and yet they will always believe they're in the right. They believe their version of the truth, but there's always two sides to a story. I'm not saying that the creator of Baby Reindeer is lying about what happened, but in an interview he says that it's all emotionally 100% true. All of the events that take place in the show happened in real life, but it's set up in a way that works for a TV show. It's made to flow in a way that is different to reality. It's based on events of a true story, so you could comfortably say it's dramatised. Now that could equally mean things have been exaggerated, or what would whip up more of a frenzy is the idea that it's been toned down to make it more acceptable for TV, and making the stalker's behaviour more extreme in the minds of people who believe this. This is a true story. Dramatised or not, it doesn't really matter. If the show decided to say based on instead of just this is a true story, then it would have been more apt, but would also help cover them should the real life stalker decide to pursue legal action. She's a lawyer, so that was obviously going to happen. That's the main reason they should have gone with based on, though it might have also prevented some of the threatening nutters. But there will still be other crazies to send death threats, which kind of goes against the point of the show. We have someone trying to deal with being the victim of something horrendous, but it's all brushed aside because the public wanted to create more victims of something else that sucks. This is what Baby Reindeer will be known for now, and the fact that's all I've really spoken about in this video just supports that. The touching story with the heartbreakingly gritty moments are all overshadowed by this drama. In January 2023, there was a story that was inescapable. Turn on your telly and it was there. Go to YouTube, it was here too. People were talking about it everywhere. The story was the disappearance of Nicola Bulley, and it seemed as though everyone in the UK was involved in the investigation. But what struck me was the speculation, the conspiracy theories, the internet sleuths leaving no stone unturned. What hit me most was the amount of people blaming the partner for the disappearance. Records of accounts were being looked into as a motive, arguments on home security cameras were being scrutinised, and the state of the partner's beard was even questioned. People were genuinely blaming the grieving partner of murder because his beard was well groomed. The logic being someone so stressed out wouldn't take the time to make themselves look presentable. It's obviously not a coping mechanism to make you feel normal, because everyone knows grieving people are supposed to look like a wreck. Case closed, it was him. The conspiracy started to overshadow the story of a woman who slipped into a river and drowned. The life of a woman was set aside so people could create this fantasy of watching a true crime documentary unfold. The victims of a real-life tragedy became characters in a story that needed to be solved. The lines between real life and fiction have been blurred. Real events have become spectacles that you tune into every day to watch the new episodes. But then they always have been. The only difference now is we can interact with them. If there's a crime that needs solving, the general public can step in to solve it. Problem is, the general public are pretty stupid, so we get waves of misinformation that leads to pointing fingers at innocent people. Then when everyone starts repeating the same lies over and over, it becomes hard not to believe it yourself. How do we stop it? I don't think you can, at least not anymore. They could have taken more steps to prevent it, like cast someone who doesn't very closely resemble the real life person with the same regional accent, give them a different profession like a judge, making it slightly harder to Google her, and don't show the real life emails and display the unique way someone types that can easily identify them. But there's only so much you can do, especially in a story like this with so much public information. We all live incredibly public lives nowadays, so most likely the identities will come out. You would need to change a ton of characters' details to protect their identity, making the story cease to be true. Okay, what if you just named those involved? Well, then you are kind of encouraging the public to interact with them, which in the case of the rapist, fuck them, although I don't really think that's how justice should be done. But the stalker who is mentally ill, you don't want to encourage the public to interact with them, since the public suck, while being very predictably one note. Sending death threats? Haven't heard that one before. It's a real rock and a hard place situation, but you can't get rid of the fact it's a true story. Those few words have such a large impact on the narrative because as crazy and far-fetched the story sounds, it is always grounded in reality. It shows to people these horrible things that happen in the world, these horrific things that we can help to change, to help avoid. It allows victims to share their stories and remove their shame. It allows others with similar experiences to remove their shame too, while also knowing that they are not alone. It shows the complexities of people and that these complexities are real. All of that because it started with,
"This is a true story."
This is Baby Reindeer's legacy. I wanted to end on a positive note about how telling this story is a way of bringing people who have suffered together, a way of educating us about complicated human behaviour, make us feel sympathy for people who suffer. But the show's message has been completely eclipsed. The real-life Martha did an interview with Piers Morgan, which has already amassed millions of views and spawned a bunch of conspiratorial internet sleuthing videos analysing this hour-long interrogation, combing it for inconsistencies and lies. The view count for Baby Reindeer has tripled since I started recording this video, all because of the media whipping up a frenzy. All of those new viewers flooded in because of the drama, because of the speculations, and so they are watching the show with a different frame of mind. They're watching to get a better understanding of the drama, for a better understanding of who Martha is, so they can come up with their own armchair psychology theories. I think this woman really is batshit crazy. Lock her away in Arkham Asylum. How do we stop it? You can't, because this is the system. If you tell a story that gains this much interest, then people will start digging for answers. When people start digging, it attracts the media, who come along to simply point it out. Hey everyone, look here! These people might have found some gold. The news stories then legitimise the situation, which creates the gold rush that everyone wants in on. More and more people begin digging away for answers as to who Martha is, and all the media does is point at them while handing more shovels to the public. Come along now, into the hole you go, and the cycle continues. People like Piers Morgan know exactly what they're doing. After all, this is the man who was editor of the Daily Mail during the phone hacking scandals. I watched some of the interview with the real-life Martha, but I had to turn it off, as it really grossed me out. The questions were so incredibly leading and designed to stir up more questions from the public. He acts as though he's on her side, so she can't see how grotesquely he's exploiting her. Exploiting a vulnerable woman who likely needs help. The news isn't about reporting things that people need to know. It's about gossip you'll talk to your friends about to find out their dumb theories. It's about creating a narrative to draw in as many people as possible for as long as possible. They pick at the story like hungry vultures, getting all the juicy bits of gossip until all that's left is scraps on the bone. Only when everyone stops giving a shit will the story get thrown away along with all those exploited. We saw it with the Nicola Bulley story, we've seen it with Baby Reindeer, and we'll definitely see it again in the future. All because we can't help ourselves when this is a true fucking story.